This video hopefully contains advice for two groups of people. The first group, Group 1, aspiring musicians who have yet to discover what their ideal level of alcohol intake is prior to taking part in a live concert experience in front of an audience. And secondly, perhaps more importantly, if you're a promoter, never ever ever pay the band before they've done their gig. And secondly, never ever give them access to cheap alcohol. Stay tuned. So this one time I'm doing a gig in Fife in a place called Kirkcaldy, which I think's famous for, Kirkcaldy's famous for being in Fife. It's the only thing I can think of. I think they used to make linoleum there. Anyway, so the date of this particular musical travesty is the 1st of November 1986. Now I checked my scrapbook. I think we'd played this place in the June, but ironically enough, given the contents of the story, I don't remember the first gig. But the second gig's on the 1st of November 1986. And we travel across the band in Arizona, our first band. Me, Rab, Laffy, three-piece band. Big UFO fans, I think. We had 3 or 4 UFO songs in our set. So we travel across to the Sinclair Tavern in Kirkcaldy. Now, that's 35 years ago. Now the thing is, like anything, you know, like if you want to be a good runner, you have to practice, you know, you have to put the time and effort in. So really, I was still a young man, I hadn't quite worked out the correct proportion of alcohol and rock and roll. I was new to the game, I mean, although I'd been playing gigs for a few years by then. So, well yeah, in case you're wondering where I am, I'm in Inverleith Park, which is a big park in the centre of Edinburgh, huge park. And you can see over in the skyline there, Edinburgh Castle in the new town. And somebody shouting very loudly in the background. See people who talk really loudly, it's really annoying. So there's lots of playing fields. That's the guy that's shouting there, Mr. Shouty Man. Rugby, I don't get involved in rugby. So yes, very beautiful. Now over there is the Botanic Gardens, which is world famous, I think. It's got one of these flowers which, from memory serves me correctly, it's got one of these flowers, excuse me while that focuses, get back a bit. Oh, there's the Federales. So it's got one of these flowers which I think only flowers once every 7 years or something. And when it opens, it's only open for a day and it smells like a dead body. So I mean, definitely worth seeing that. So where was I? Yes. So we're in Kirkcaldy, me, Rab and Laffy. And we're playing the Sinclair Tavern. It's a biker's tavern. Now I guess we played there, like I said, we played there before, and I think it might have been busy the first time we played. Second time we played, couldn't have been any less empty. A biker's tavern, and all the bikers had gone to a rally somewhere else, so there was hardly anybody there, although the one person that was here was my new girlfriend, and she came across from Edinburgh with her friend. So clearly this was very impressive. So the guy says, "It's looking like a quiet one tonight, boys, but I'll pay your money just now." And I've told about this story before, and I'll pull numbers out of the air. It's really, I can't really remember the exact money, but he says, "I'll give you £60, your £60 before you play. But the good news is, it might not be busy, but I have a special offer on crates of Castlemaine 4X. I mean, that's how long ago this was, Castlemaine 4X. He said, "I'll do them a half price. Instead of £15 for a case, you can have them for £7.50. We were like, "Whoa, brilliant, cheap lager." So we get 2 cases, give them the £15 or something like that, and that's a quarter of what we're getting paid. But I mean, it seemed like such a good idea at the time. In retrospect, you know, as this story unfolds, you'll see it was not a good idea in any way, shape or form. So a couple of hours before we go on stage, we get 2 crates of Castlemaine 4X, which I think was, I mean, it was the big crates, so I mean, it was a 24 in a crate or something like that. I mean, over 40 cans of lager. I mean, luckily we didn't drink them all, otherwise I wouldn't be here telling this story. So we think, well, we've got this lager, we're on in 2 hours, let's have a few cans, as you do, let's have a few cans of lager before the gig. Now, as I said, you know, 35 years after the fact, I would know how many cans of lager would get me to, you know, just over the limit of safety. But in those days, it was all gung-ho for the lager. So, one can leads to another. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. So we go on stage 2 hours after we started drinking. I can't really speak for the rest of the band what condition they were in, because I mean, I can barely remember the condition I was in. So we go on stage, and prior to going on stage, every time I drank a can, I must have thought it was a good idea to go and put my empty can of lager onto the stage. I mean, I was using 2 Marshall 4x12s and a GCM 800 Marshall amp head, and I would put the can of lager on top of the amp head, just as stage decoration, I think. You know, it's like early Motley Crue gigs, you know, it's looking good on stage. So we finally get on stage, and I think it was up a couple of steps. I'm sure I struggled to get up the steps. And get on stage, and I was using an Ibanez Destroyer at this point in time. Plug in the Ibanez Destroyer, and then I sort of look about, and everything's a bit hazy. And I look over at my amp, and on top of my amp is about a dozen empty cans of Castlemaine 4X. And then the drummer starts counting in. The first song we came on with was UFO's Letting Go. So he counts 1, 2, and just as he got to the 3, I looked round again, and I saw the cans, and I looked at my guitar, and I thought, I don't think I can manage this. I don't think I can do this. But I did. I proceeded to, I presume I proceeded to do it, because I don't remember a stage invasion. I mean, there wasn't enough people there to invade the stage. But I don't remember getting beat up by the audience, but we must have been very, very bad. And the next thing I remember is being in a car on the way home to Edinburgh with my new girlfriend and her friends, and nobody was saying much. I think my new girlfriend's friends were probably saying, this guy's band are rubbish, you know, they're really bad. And you know, what can I say? It was one of these, you know, it was a severe miscalculation of lager intake prior to a rock and roll show. I mean, it happens to the best of us, and it's maybe happened, has it happened since? Maybe, but I mean, not to the same extent. It was truly horrendous. And as an aside, I remember my cousin said recently when we were discussing this story, this was one of these pubs that at the time had a noise threshold. So they had microphones up behind the bar. The bar was like over the other side of the venue from the stage. And if you went over a certain noise limit, there was lights above the stage. It was like almost like red, amber and yellow, red, amber and green. And once you got 3 reds, the power just cut out to the whole place, so you just have to stop. So what we did was we took precautions. I mean, always take precautions. We took the precaution of taking an extension lead and plugging it into. For some reason, there was an old circuit, electrical circuit in the pub, which wasn't connected to this cut-off thing. So we must have sussed this out, and we plugged a 4-gang extension lead into the old circuit, which wasn't connected to the cutout. And the manager must have been behind the bar saying, God, not only are these guys awful, they're really loud as well. And yeah, what a night to remember. I don't remember too much about it, but so there you go. That's my story of the great lager miscalculation in Fife on the 1st of November 1986 in Scotland. So let that be a warning, folks. Always make sure you know your filling point of lager before you engage in any rock and roll activities. Okie dokie, thanks for watching, folks. Cheers for now.